Hello everyone, Jerry, Old Guys Review. So I'm guessing I'm calling this part 2 of the P602 wiring. Oh my lord. We'll get into that a little more in a second, but as you can see, there they are. Marker lights on all the time, as they should be. Front and rear tail lights, but there is a slight problem still. No annoying clicker, but still the turn signal. And I have nobody to blame but myself. I'm going to show you the light controller here in a minute and what caused the problem. So when you get this vehicle, if you want to mess with the lights, it's very easy to get to the light controller. But your problem is going to be that you're going to run into is on the whole light controller where there is 21 or 22 lights. Only 4 of the sockets on the light controller are all the time powered. So you're going to look at this one and you're going to see that there's headlights, which basically every one of these lights strings is 2 wires. So you've got 2 for the headlights, 2 for the side marker lights, 2 for the back lights. So you are up to 6 lights. You've got 4 setups. But these lights, which I should correct my earlier statement, they're individuals. So right now, we're up to 6 lights. They all have an individual plug. So you've got 6 lights, 4 plugs. So I had to splice into the 2 more marker lights on this side are connected. Splice the wire, soldered them together, taped them up, put them in. So there's your first dilemma. My second dilemma was I had tested the front turn signals and then completely forgot to splice those into the wiring harness once I put everything back together again. Which, for me, doing soldering and doing wiring is a horrible, horrible mistake. Luckily, it won't be much problem to go back in and mend the accident. But here's the problem. These wires are not marked. You go by color, which, like all the individual ones for the marker lights were the same color. But the headlights were also similar, not the same color, but similar. So that is where you run into your hiccup, where you're basically plugging and unplugging wires in the light control just so, pardon me, you can figure out which ones do which. Some of the terminology is a little bit odd. So basically, you're just hunting and pecking because you would call, a marker light. That's not what they call it at all. So there it is, that interpretation that you run into. Second of all, the front marker lights, turn signals, are supposed to be yellow. They are the deepest red bulb you can get. So how that missed my initial, going through it, that I was changing those lights out, I don't know what transpired. But luckily, I have extra lights. And here's a tidbit for you guys. Being that I have semi-trucks, of course, I have Tamiya lights. The plugs are exactly the same, but you have to switch them around. Meanwhile, strangely, I didn't have this one marked, and I'm not sure if this is an RC four-wheel drive one or an axial one. But RC four-wheel drive, axial, and Tamiya have similar plugs. So you can use one of their lights. I know that the Tamiya ones are generally longer, but even they are getting hard to find. This is the TLU01. This is a Tamiya light control. It's only got 8 lights in it, but everything's hot. You've got extra plugs on the side where you could plug in other units, but I don't know if these have been out of stock or if they've stopped making them. Because I used to love these. I've got a bunch of these. This is the light control that comes with the HG models. Look at all those plugs. So, wait a second. Let me find my little pokey device. So, here we go with my fancy. So, I believe, if I remember, these two. No, wait. Everything's upside down with them. So, these two, I believe they say are fog lights. So those are hot. No, my bad. Up here, one of these two is fog lights. And then these are dome lights. For some reason, this side doesn't work. They aren't hot all the time. But these two outside ones are. Now, almost everything else runs only when the vehicle's moving. Almost every one of the ones on this side are all blinking lights, like the roof. That roof constantly blinks. Almost every one of these lights on this side blink. So while I was testing, it's fun to see this truck with all the parking lights blinking. Like this is some crazy disco. I almost plugged them in like that and did a little video to say, mess with you guys a little bit. Does anyone know what's going on right now? But I decided not to. That's rude. So, there's a quick picture of that light harness. Now, because any of you listen to anything else I ever say, I am not a technological guru. So, here comes some visual aids. So, if you get the P602 and you want to go to the sound system, remove the clicking plugs. Here comes my fancy visual aid. Look out. That's what you're going to do. This is the top of the truck. There's the inner part of the truck. And here's the lower, which this whole lower section, it's like you're dealing with a boat. You have to take the shocks off, all that just to get to that bottom. But meanwhile, there's the joy. All this stuff is metal. There's your sound speaker right there where my thumb is. There's your smoke unit, which we'll get to that because I thought I had a little faux pas with that. Oh, wrong picture. That was some construction. This, is once you have this thing completely tore down, let me get my visual aid out again. So you see the drive shaft. Now you see all these wires right under here. That is where the sound kit lives. So if you really want to overhaul it, you have to take all these screws out, take the transmission out. All this is metal again. After I did this teardown, I really appreciate the HD models a lot. I mean, look at how nice the wiring is. But I will warn you, once you break it down to this level, getting it back together so it looks like the truck again is very joyful, if I may sound like a Chinese ad. Oh, breaking truck down, very enjoyment. So, just a quick brief thing for any of you who have these with the sound kit. So you have this nozzle on the end of here. If you look at the book, this doesn't exist. That is the fill for the oil. It's tucked down under the hood. So just a little tidbit on that one. So back to this. So now I have to go completely back to where I was previously to get to the sound kit, just to replace these front lights because all the wiring runs down that channel that is in the belly of the truck. So that means I'm removing the whole belly of the truck again to run the wires. Have to remove the electronics box right there where everything goes into to get back to the plug again. So where I would be very happy with this truck's construction just as it sits, now that I've tore it down very far, excellent, excellent built truck. And once again, for the price that you pay for this truck with the amount of metal and the amount of details, you can't go wrong. So, I didn't want to leave everyone hanging. Part 2. Thanks again to all my new subscribers. I'm glad you come by. Let me know if you like or don't like something. It's Jerry. Till later.